Who cares most about the Chinese people? Poll results are staggering. U.S. senators propose bill to impose sanctions on China if it attacks Taiwan. Chinese General Guang Kai dies suddenly, cause of death sparks online speculation. Report, U.S. military lacks ability to defeat China. Chinese man reveals shocking liver transplant, 26-year-old donor and a cost of 800,000 yuan. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Who cares most about the Chinese people? Poll results are staggering. Amid a collapsing Chinese economy, soaring unemployment, and frequent natural disasters, a blogger recently conducted a poll on Tushio, a Chinese news platform, asking, who cares most about the Chinese people? The options were the Chinese government and the U.S. government. The results were startling. Out of 2,587 participants, 2,340 voted for the U.S. government, while only 251 voted for the CCP. The poll was swiftly removed, and the blogger's account was deleted. This news sparked heated discussions on Platform X. Some said, this result directly hits the Communist Party's sore spot, claiming to serve the people, yet losing trust and support in the hearts of the public. Others hinted at the CCP's crimes of organ harvesting, saying the CCP only cares about matching results. Some mocked the CCP for caring most about African countries. According to NTD-TV, Mr. Zhao, a mainland citizen, mentioned that 3 years of extreme pandemic control policies have allowed many people to see through the nature of the CCP. He said, being locked at home every day, many people starve to death. So, after experiencing this pandemic disaster, many people deeply despise and hate the CCP. Since the pandemic, the economy has gradually declined, with many stores and small businesses continuously closing, and people struggling to survive, becoming unemployed and homeless. Where were these issues before? He added, if you look at train stations and city squares in many big cities now, you'll often see young people just lying around, sleeping. These young people, who should be full of energy and life, are now prematurely acting like they're in an elderly society. Youth nursing homes are even becoming popular. This shows the deep despair in society towards the CCP. It's like life has reached a point where just surviving is all that matters. Mr. Zhao noted that the CCP turns a blind eye to these miserable conditions of young people, as well as the severe floods and droughts occurring everywhere, showing inaction. This is why many Chinese people think the U.S. government cares more about them. Echoing Zhao's sentiments, Zhang Junjie, a history student in the U.S., emphasized, for those who are aware, it's clear that the U.S. government cares more about the lives of the Chinese people. Simply put, China's internet censorship is very strict. U.S. government officials are even trying to dismantle China's firewall. Chinese people have a desire for freedom of speech, and the U.S. government meets this human need. On July 23, the U.S. House of Representatives Special Committee on the CCP held a hearing, warning that the CCP is intensifying information surveillance through the Great Firewall, restricting Chinese people's right to information and freedom of speech, urging the CCP to dismantle it. Furthermore, Zhang Junjie said, the U.S. government has rescued many persecuted individuals from China, such as the Tibetan Lama Agyea Rinpoche, the blind Han lawyer Chen Guangqing, and Falun Gong practitioners. To some extent, the U.S. has become a major refuge for Chinese people. In recent years, the U.S. has continuously sanctioned CCP officials who persecute Chinese citizens. In March 2024, the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee approved the Stop CCP Act, targeting financial and visa restrictions on Xi Jinping, CCP Central Committee members, and their families. This bill, spearheaded by Representative Lisa McClain of Michigan, aims to hold Chinese leaders accountable for human rights abuses and aggressive moves toward Taiwan. The committee passed the bill with a 28-22 vote. U.S. senators proposed bill to impose sanctions on China if it attacks Taiwan. In a significant development, 2 members of the U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee have introduced a bipartisan bill aimed at imposing comprehensive sanctions on China in the event of an attack on Taiwan. According to Focus Taiwan, this crucial legislation, known as the Stand with Taiwan Act of 2024, was introduced by Senators Dan Sullivan and Tammy Duckworth on July 25. The proposed bill is designed to target China with a wide array of sanctions should it initiate a military invasion of Taiwan. According to a press release from Senator Sullivan's office on July 26, the sanctions would be extensive, affecting China's economy, energy, financial sectors, and more. Specific targets include members of the Chinese Communist Party, Chinese financial institutions, and industrial sectors. Moreover, U.S. financial institutions would be prohibited from investing in any Chinese entities affiliated with the CCP. In addition to financial and industrial sanctions, the bill also seeks to restrict the importation of goods produced in China into the United States. Senator Sullivan emphasized the necessity of a steadfast, bipartisan commitment to supporting Taiwan's democracy during these difficult times. Senator Duckworth echoed this sentiment, highlighting the importance of the U.S. demonstrating its support for Taiwan in the face of escalating threats from China. She stated that this legislation sends a strong message of enduring support to Taiwan and global competitors, emphasizing that unilateral aggression against a democratic ally will not be tolerated. The bill defines military invasion to include a range of aggressive actions, such as amphibious landings, airborne operations, missile attacks, and blockades, among others. The senators were part of a U.S. congressional delegation that visited Taiwan in May, where they met with President Lai Ching-te at the presidential office in Taipei. This is not the first time Senator Sullivan has introduced the Stand with Taiwan Act. A previous version was introduced in 2022 but did not advance in Congress. Nonetheless, Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has expressed gratitude for the continued support from the American lawmakers and will closely monitor the progress of the legislation. Chinese General Guang Kai dies suddenly, cause of death sparks online speculation. Chinese Lieutenant General Guang Kai, former deputy commander of the Lanzhou military region, recently passed away at the age of 76. The Beijing Municipal Bureau of Old Cadres Service and Administration announced that Guang Kai died at 1322 on July 21 in Beijing. However, the cause of death was not disclosed, sparking widespread speculation online. Reports indicate that Guang Kai was involved in a car accident and taken to the hospital. However, he was denied treatment because the hospital could not verify his identity. This incident sparked intense discussions on social media. Netizens have been abuzz with the news, mainly focusing on the mysterious circumstances surrounding his death. On July 25, the paper confirmed these details through Guang Kai's relatives and friends. Despite the confirmation, the most pressing question, the cause of death, remains unanswered in the official announcement. Netizens have uncovered that Guang Kai's last public appearance was on March 11, 2022, at a tree planting event in Xinglong Park, Beijing. At the time, he appeared in good health with no signs of distress. According to the NetEase account Truth Seeker, Guang Kai unexpectedly died while cycling. A netizen claiming to be a former subordinate of Guang Kai revealed that on the morning of July 21, Guang Kai was out cycling when he was struck by a car. He was seriously injured and, despite being taken to the hospital immediately, did not survive. Further details emerged on July 29, claiming that Guang Kai's life could have been saved if not for a lack of funds. Netizens revealed that Guang Kai was cycling early in the morning when he had an accident and fell into a coma. Lacking identification and a phone, there was no way to contact his family. The driver took him to the nearest civil aviation hospital for emergency treatment, but the hospital demanded 50,000 yuan, approximately $7,000, for the rescue. The driver could only raise 5,000 yuan, roughly $700, and the hospital refused to proceed with the treatment. At 8 a.m., Guang Kai's wife noticed that he was missing. She couldn't reach him, so she informed the cadre retirement office, but they also couldn't find him. The police were eventually notified, but by the time Guang Kai's family and the office found him, several hours had passed, and he had already passed away. This disclosure has sparked outrage among internet users. Many argue that if the hospital had known that the patient was a deputy commander, they would have taken more extensive measures to save him. Comments on social media expressed a wider frustration with the healthcare system, noting, fairness can only be achieved when identity is unknown. Some people online are discussing how the inability to save Guang Kai reveals underlying problems in the CCP's medical system. They believe that patients without sufficient funds, especially those who are not in privileged positions, often do not receive adequate medical care. This heartbreaking incident sheds light on the difficult situation faced by many ordinary people who have to stop their treatment because they cannot afford it. Report: U.S. military lacks ability to defeat China. In a bombshell report released on July 30, the U.S. Commission on National Defense Strategy issued a stark warning: the U.S. military might be unable to win a potential war against China. According to Vice Chair Eric Edelman, who conveyed these concerns to the Senate Armed Services Committee, the report clarifies that China is accelerating past the United States in military development. He noted that although the U.S. maintains the strongest military globally, its dominance wanes within 1,000 miles of China's shore, putting the U.S. at a potential disadvantage in any conflict. Further underscoring the urgency, the report states that the U.S. military lacks both the capabilities and the capacity required to be confident it can deter and prevail in combat, and the defense industrial base is struggling to meet the equipment, technology, and munitions needs of the United States and its allies. Edelman also pointed to a significant strategic challenge: the strengthening of alliances between China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia. He described this alignment as a major strategic shift that could lead to a global conflict. It could potentially stretch U.S. resources thin and diminish strategic capabilities, raising the likelihood of a conflict escalating to a scale reminiscent of World War II. The Commission's report calls for sweeping changes in response to these threats. It urges Congress and government departments to dismantle barriers to innovation, budgeting, and procurement to enhance deterrence. Additionally, it recommends shifting from a bipolar Cold War strategy to a multi-theater model to prepare for possible simultaneous conflicts across various regions. The report also warns that China may escalate its hostile actions shortly to normalize unlawful behavior as it seeks to create conditions favorable for future coercion or conflict. Without a fundamental reorientation of U.S. national strategy, the report asserts, China's People's Liberation Army, PLA, could soon match or surpass U.S. military capabilities across all domains, a scenario unseen since the height of the Cold War. Commission Chair Jane Harman emphasized the critical need to integrate all facets of U.S. national power, including private sector involvement, to spur military innovation and technology adoption. She suggested increasing taxes to boost U.S. defense spending to Cold War levels, potentially requiring a defense budget of $1.3 trillion to $4.5 trillion annually based on the current GDP of approximately $27 trillion. However, leveraging commercial technology advances could help mitigate the financial impact seen in the Cold War era. Addressing the military readiness issue, Harman warned, "We found that the joint force is at the breaking point of maintaining readiness today. Adding more burden without adding resources to rebuild readiness will cause it to break." She advocated for profound changes in how the Pentagon and other government agencies operate, particularly in integrating private sector technology and strengthening partnerships with allies. She summarized the Commission's recommendations as advocating for the use of all elements of national power. Chinese man reveals shocking liver transplant, 26-year-old donor and a cost of 800,000 yuan. A bombshell recording uploaded by the user News Investigation on the social platform X features a Beijing citizen with a distinct Beijing accent. In the recording, he shared a harrowing account of his own and a friend's organ transplant experiences. The revelation that his donor was only 26 years old, along with the story of a friend who underwent 3 organ transplants, has reignited public scrutiny over the CCP's alleged systematic organ harvesting. The person, known online as Erhei, shared the details of his liver transplant procedure from 2016, when he was 44. The hospital only revealed the donor's age, without disclosing the name or gender. The surgical procedure itself cost about 200,000 yuan, approximately $27,700, while the liver was priced at 450,000 yuan, around $62,300, making the total expenditure over 800,000 yuan, roughly $111,000. Post-surgery, He complained about the prohibitive cost of medication, stating that each pill costs 30 yuan, about $4.20, with a daily intake of 4 drugs. These medications suppress the immune system and make him highly vulnerable to various infectious diseases, including the flu. He also recounted the tragic story of a friend from Xinjiang who had 3 organ transplants. After the 3rd operation, the friend's condition worsened, and he tragically passed away en route to Urumqi. When asked why he needed a liver transplant, He attributed it to his heavy drinking, leading to alcoholic liver disease. Despite the transplant, he continues to drink moderately, as advised by his doctor, as long as his liver function remains normal. However, after contracting COVID-19 twice, he feels frail, easily fatigued, and struggles to walk more than 200 to 300 steps without becoming breathless. The recording has spurred comments on the X platform. User at 10924290 remarked, China ranks 2nd globally in organ transplants with incredibly short waiting times, prompting curiosity and concern about the sources of these organs. The rapid increase in organ transplant centers in China, with hundreds of hospitals performing numerous transplants each year, has raised international concern and condemnation over potential severe human rights violations. However, Chinese authorities have repeatedly denied these allegations and refused independent investigations. In recent years, more evidence has emerged internationally, exposing the CCP's alleged systematic organ harvesting, including from Falun Gong practitioners. The global community, previously hesitant to believe such brutal practices, has begun to recognize these dark realities, with increasing political groups taking action to halt these atrocities. On July 20, the International Parliamentary Alliance on China, IPAC, issued a statement on the 25th anniversary of the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners, expressing concern for the prolonged and severe suffering of Falun Gong practitioners. The statement noted that thousands are imprisoned in China, with countless others enduring severe torture, including credible reports of state-sponsored organ harvesting. IPAC emphasized, no minority, regardless of their beliefs, should be deprived of basic rights. The organization urged governments worldwide to demand the Chinese government immediately cease its persecution of religious minorities and uphold the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, to which China is a signatory. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.